TCR is brought to you by Hoheim Prairie Insurance, Texans serving Texans since 1892. Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation, conserving our wild things and wild places. And visit Big Bend, another world right here in Texas.
Why don't you just pop in and travel with
Pop in and travel with us.
It's make-believe. When you're struggling as an actor or a musician, anything in that industry, it is extremely difficult to create a steady paycheck.
We've often heard that as an entertainer, one can easily develop a craving for the bright lights, standing ovations, and constant adulation from adoring fans. But veteran stage performer John Hopkins has made a living in the theater by hiding, pulling the strings, if you will, directing a cavalcade of memorable characters.
As we go through our cavern here, this is what we call back deep storage, and then these hanging up above you, these are part of the shows of our storybook series. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, we have Hansel and Gretel, we have The Wizard of Oz.
This just keeps going.
It does, and we just have to keep going through.
They are familiar stories with familiar faces, 600 in all. Marionettes, each handmade by John and his talented crew here in a cavernous warehouse in Fort Worth.
All of these were made by you guys.
Correct. We're kind of purists, so if it's in the show, it has to be created by us. So we don't go out and buy anything and put it in our shows. Like even this little wishing well, this for a show. This is from Snow White. There's not a place that you go out and buy puppet props. So everything hand carved or crafted and painted and made from scratch. I remember the puppets by the years I made them. So this puppet's probably close to 20 years old now, right? Because I remember my kid being like 3 or 4 years old when I carved him, and he was just so fascinated with this puppet because it's a clown that actually works another puppet. He actually blows up a balloon.
First of all, what's the difference between a puppet and a marionette?
That's so common a question that we get, and it's very simple. Marionette comes from the term was Little Mary. Back in the 16th century, they would do these passion plays with biblical shows, and Little Mary became marionette. It became very popular in Europe, especially during the reign of Queen Victoria, because they outlawed public performances of actors because it was so politically based. But the loophole was you could do marionette shows. In America, it was made popular by The Sound of Music.
One little girl in a pale pink coat heard lay, odelay, odelay, oh. She yodeled back to the lonely goat herd, lay, odelay, oh.
My mother was so passionate about The Sound of Music, came out in the 60s, watching it over and over and over again. There's a segment of The Sound of Music that has the puppet show inside of it, and I just thought that was pretty magical and pretty cool. But it kind of sparked something, and I think it impacted me as a kid. I would see these make-believe lands, these make-believe things, and I was totally wrapped and enamored with it. I started building marionettes just as a fun thing.
Like as a hobby.
As a hobby. I ended up at Six Flags Over Texas. Worked in rides, just like all kids that work in Dallas-Fort Worth. One day they said, hey, there's a audition over at the Marionette Theater. And I said, oh, I'd love to do that. I ended up getting the job. So that's how it progressed. And then I was there for 7 years. And then Children's Television Workshop, Anaforms, these other companies that ended up at Sid Marty Krofft Television. What we're doing here is these are the 4 iconic puppets from The Wizard of Oz. You have to do what's called a lot of crossing, where the puppeteers are crossing in front of each other. In some cases, the puppeteers are also Having to work 2 puppets like we're doing. And it is close comfort. This particular show has 4 puppeteers. Think about it. You probably have never actually seen a marionette show unless you're in your 80s. But as technology replaced that, you just don't see it. You might see it on TV, you might see archived footage, but most people have never seen a marionette show. When we're performing somewhere, someone will say, they're 70 years, 60 years, they'll say, I haven't seen this since I was a child. I am definitely working up a sweat. We don't have heavy puppeteers, per se. Most of the people that are pre-lean, and they might not come to us lean, but they leave us lean because you're working, you're up and down, you're holding stuff that's very aerobic. It is a workout, the different things. It's also a back workout. It's called Le Théâtre des Marionnettes, and today, because nobody can pronounce that, we're LTDM Entertainment.
Here we find the mystical creatures of the rainforest and the dance of the Mayans.
So in this particular performance, the puppeteers are on stage, or as we call cabaret. They're performing right alongside with the puppets.
Of all the places they perform, it's the State Fair of Texas each autumn, resulting in packed house performances like it has for years.
I don't perform anymore unless I absolutely have to. Most of the time I'm behind the scenes. I compare it kind of like to Walt Disney. In his later years, he didn't draw anymore. He had found much more creative, wonderful people who could do the job much more efficiently. I think that people love storytelling. Think about it. It's all storytelling. It's just a different medium. Storytelling is not going to go out of style.
Throughout a lifetime spent backstage from the bright lights, John Hopkins knows that with the flick of his wrist or a twist of his hand, a story unfolds, and simple motion can still bring smiles, laughter, applause, and memories to generations of people.
What's great about what I do is I have shows that are 30 and 40 years old. They were built in the 80s and the 90s, and they're still performing today. They're still entertaining kids today, and hopefully they'll still be entertaining kids long after I'm gone.